Tackle 40 minutes of racing action, a 40-minute race set to have a whole lot of stuff to worry about if you are these racers. Have to worry about the pit stop. Inside your screen, switched his attention to the massive pack of race cars that's going to blow his doors off and blow off the starter stand. The green flag is out, the drivers are on their way. Locked throughout this race, the grass and the gravel that lines this racetrack. It's old school, so it doesn't have a whole lot of asphalt runoff area. He's a very talented racer of his own. These two fast. He grabs very early on into this race. Look at Daniel Wood at a big crash heading through turn number 1. That's chasing that turn number 4. And here we go, side-by-side racing off into the corner. This can usually end in tears. One of these drivers is going to have to back out of it. That's going to be Adela. The Maunz still allowing some room coming out of the corner. The side-by-side going up the hill through turn number 6. Spade coming out of the corner. Walker, the Canadian, in the number 96. They are banging doors, heading into the braking zone for the final time. They're linked together. That or you put a qualifying fuel load in either way. Getting a whole lot of pressure side by side with himself, and that is
now coming out of the pits. Let's see what his pit lane time is, because this is going to be very important when Yanchi wins.
I don't know what to say. Oh, there's Brett Cathcart upside down. And another driver coming in. That's Jeff Jacobson upside down. Oh, boy. Well, hello and good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Slow Motion Broadcasting, and welcome to season number 2 of 2025 for the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. This is round number 1 of the season, coming to you today from Lebanon. My name is Ron Maunz. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Charles Boshell, and in the virtual production hall, or serving as our producer, we have Guido Marzucchi. It's the opening round for the SRFs, and to kick it off, we head to a roller coaster of a racetrack. Lebanon packs a punch when it comes to elevation change, but doesn't do the same when it comes to flat-out blast. It's a tight, twisty, and technical track. So, Charles, I have a sneaking suspicion that these drivers will be battling the track just as much as they'll be battling each other.
Yeah, Ron, I think that you're absolutely right. I think this is one of those tracks where you may have some drivers struggle. The elevation changes obviously play a very pivotal role in that, but some of these braking zones where you're either braking downhill or uphill, it just changes the dynamic of how you have to handle the car. There's a few corners out here that are really just kind of designed to see what kind of time you can extract and how much speed you can carry through the corner, especially this first the first corner on the track or the first three triple gauche, three left-handers, and makes the start of the lap a little tricky. And as we go through, we'll see, I'm sure, quite a bit of off tracks and a few half spins, and then we'll all settle in. We'll have us a really good race.
And looking forward to this race here at Lebanon. My previous experience of broadcasting races here at this track is mainly limited to the Formula V Weekend Warriors. They usually put on a pretty good show here, and I will say the driver that you will see out on the racetrack here today, SMB's very own Mr. Joshua Wilkie, rather big fan of this place, despite the fact he's said in the past that every single time he drives around here, he feels like he has to relearn us. It's a track that, despite being a part of base content, isn't really used a whole lot. It's a little bit surprising, this track. A somewhat newer one onto the iRacing platform as well, as we see an off-track moment there for Trent Kramer right towards the top end of the racetrack. But despite being part of base content, Lebanon doesn't really get a lot of use with iRacers. I wonder if it's not really a favorite with the driver. Certainly a technical racetrack with 15 corners on this less than 2 mile track. We'll actually give you a small little guide around this place by riding on board with Maurizio Nazelli in the 44 car, heading off into this opening series of bends, triple gauche. I will try not to do any more French pronunciations, otherwise I think my dad will dress up like Robespierre and threaten to chop my head off. Coming out of turn number 3 right now dealing with turn 4. That's gonna keep these drivers on their toes in the small low flat out blast down into the downhill, now back uphill hairpin of turn number 5. That section super tough. I've seen a lot of drivers in the Formula Vs usually get called out by there. Now onto another short flat out blast into turn number 6. You'll begin to notice a trend around this racetrack. Now onto what I think is one of the longer flat out blasts of this racetrack, coming out of 6 down the hill. And when I say down the hill, I mean it, into turn number 8 right now. Oh boy, look at that. Using all the exit curb you can coming out of that corner. The exit curb of turn 8 turns into the entrance curb of turn number 9. Can use that banking to help you up. Now heading up the hill through turn number 10 right now. This is the top end of the circuit, the hairpin of turn number 11. And let's see how Nazelli exits this section. Super important to get a good exit through here, through the tight twisties. Turn 12 a couple of moments ago, downhill into turn 13. Now got to deal with the turn 14 chicane. This section called out some drivers in the Formula Vs last season. I have a feeling the Spec Racer Fords may see a same case. But now cresting the hill and going on to the start finish straight away around turn 13 to complete a lap of this very demanding track.
Yeah, you can absolutely see that with the exception of that turn 8, turn 9 complex, there's really not a lot of camber in the track to help you hold the corners. So that's going to make things just that much more difficult as you walked us through everything as through the lap. And yes, just like I said, it's, all these braking zones seem like they're either, going uphill or going downhill. Once again, flat, except for that turn 8 and 9. We'll say this, at least that turn 8 and 9 section, iRacing is a little liberal when it comes to track limits there. You can carry a lot of extra track out on the edge. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think the reason, you talked about this not being a very well-known or very well-used track. It seems like with iRacing that the more popular tracks are the ones where you can spend the day on Saturday watching an actual race there, and then you can go about and you can go run your race there as well. Lebanon, obviously, I don't think it's used as any of the major racing leagues. Probably gets a little bit of love, maybe in a French racing league where they're running Magny-Cours and Lebanon and Paul Ricard or something like that. But for the most part, you don't really hear them, having big events there. So that may lead to a lot of drivers just not taking the time to go out and learn it. But this is a track that will teach you some things about your driving ability if you give them a few laps and work through it on how to carry speed through a corner using throttle. To work your way around, how to feather the brakes on uphills and downhills. So, every track gives you a little bit of a learning experience if you're willing to take the time to put some laps on it.
Yeah, this track is one where you have a pretty steep learning curve, and I don't just mean that as a pun, talking about the elevation change around this track. It's super tough to try and get a grips with this place. I've done quite a decent amount of laps here, I believe, on iRacing. It's a track that I find rather difficult to really get into a groove, but still, these drivers gonna look to have some fun. And we'll know, talking about the history of this place, this track that we have today, the full course here at Circuit de Lebanon, was the same track layout that's been in use ever since 1973 when this track first opened. So clearly those track designers back then knew what they were doing, as we see Andre Favini having an off-track moment in this qualifying session with a few minutes left on the board. We'll note, as it stands currently, Jason Green is your provisional pole sitter at 1 minute 29.467. He was involved in a really intense championship battle with himself and Felix Samoes, who's off the back of a win in the Formula Fords and is your reigning champion here for the Spec Racer Fords. Your current leader in Masters is Antonio Reese. We heard from York Monty earlier on. He will not be racing in this SRF race. There's Josh Wilkie out on track right now in the number 23 machine. He's currently qualified in, fittingly, 23rd. So P23 for the driver of the number 23 car. And Jason Perry is your current leader of the Spec 2 drivers. And should be noted, as we're still rather early on in the show, that today's broadcast of the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors on Slow Motion Broadcasting is brought to you by Bobby West and West Tech Esports. You can follow Bobby on Instagram at West Tech Esports Racing. I believe that's I'll have to get the exact name of his Instagram account here. And we'd like to thank Bobby, just period, for sponsoring this race and this broadcast. He's a rather formidable contender in the Weekend Warriors. You see a lot of him in the Spec Racer Fords. Haven't seen too much of him in the Formula Fords. And interestingly enough, for the first weekend of Weekend Warriors broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting, back when the swaparoo was made between our good pals of the Abandoned Strip Mall of iRacing broadcasters to here, where it's always light, exciting, and we like to have a good time. Bobby was actually in the booth with Randall McGrew and Mr. Adam Thompson to kind of talk him through the new series at the time. I think they eventually got a grip, so how all the stuff goes here for the Weekend Warriors. But still a minute and a half left to go in this qualifying session, Charles. Qualifying session with a short track and a lot of cars, probably giving some of these drivers some migraines.
Yeah, probably so. It makes it difficult to find your rhythm when you're out there with another 34 cars. And you're constantly, you're watching your racing line, you're trying to get your entries and your exits right, but then you have to just kind of keep that peripheral vision out there, looking for cars that may have made a mistake and are trying to rejoin around you or spinning just out of your way. So it's always makes for a little difficult when you have these open qualifyings.
And what we're going to be seeing a lot of this season, I have a feeling, is going to be a lot of different winners in all of the classes. And looking through the history of the other Spec Racer Fords, and by history, we're mainly referring to how things went last season here, we had a lot of different winners in all the classes. A class with the least amount of winners was Masters. Urgmani took 7 wins. Antonio Reese took 3. Chris Murakami and Tom Gradwell had 1 apiece. In Spec 1, it was a season that had 6 different drivers grab wins. Solal Shutway and Alace Pleva had the most wins at 3 apiece. Felix Moes, your eventual champion, along with his championship rival Jason Green, both had 2. Yanchi Lin and Maurizio Nazelli both won 1 race apiece. When it came to the Spec 2 category, on the other hand, we had a bunch of different winners. And when I say a bunch of different winners, I mean it. We had 9 different drivers grab checkered flags during last season. Michael Odell won 3. Ben Rycroft also took 3 wins as well, en route to the series championship. Odell probably going to be a driver we have to talk about a lot throughout this season in reference to him contending for that class championship. And we also had Aaron Vogel, Soren Garretts, Daniel Salmon, Matt Thompson, Aid Allen, Dan Witzak, and Erica Luke all grabbed victories throughout that season. 9 different winners in the Spec 2 category back in Season 1. Holy cow, that Spec 2 category, always incredible to follow. But when it comes to the Spec Racer Fords, we were mentioning parity earlier on in the Formula Fords, but in these Spec Racer Fords, I feel like you can crank that up to 50.
think you may be right. Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm first back in a while, and but there's obviously still names out there that I'm very very familiar with. Jason Green, who is on pole, looks like he's going to grab the pole position for today's race. Obviously, Felix Samoas, we just saw him just drive away in the Formula Fords at Cadwell Park about an hour ago. Maurizio Naselli, loved watching him. When the last time I was doing a broadcast, he was steadily in the back trying to drive through the field, and was the guy that was making the most passes of anybody on track every race. But there's some new guys out here that I'm A, familiar with, but B, haven't really been around. Rasmus Viori, I don't really know. Obviously, 8K driver, so he's going to be quick. It doesn't matter what car you put him in. Kane Halliburton, I do know, and is also a very, very fast driver. So we'll see him. Looks like he did not set a time, so he looks like he's going to do the last to first challenge today, or at least from the back to the front challenge today. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting season with some old names and some new names, which is going to make things very exciting for us as we start this new season off with a bang.
I will say, in reference to Rasmus Viori in the number 24 machine, he actually made his Weekend Warriors debut 1 week ago here on Slow Motion Broadcasting in the Week 13 runoffs. That was his first time ever participating in a Weekend Warriors event, and it dragged him into the series. So nice to see some new drivers making their debuts in all the Weekend Warriors series. Saw some of them in the Formula V, saw some of them in the Formula Fords, and we're seeing some in the Spec Racer Fords as well. Always good to see some new names, and also those consistent cast of characters that we've seen season after season. This is now about a year of me doing these Weekend Warriors broadcasts just about full time, with the exception of a decent chunk of season 3, but that's neither here nor there. So nice to see some drivers that you just see week in and week out, always contending for wins, always contending for championships, and if not, just always out there on the racetrack, being a very consistent force. But to get this season underway, we're going to take a look at the first starting grid of the year. Jason Green will line up from the pole in the 160 car. His championship rival from one season ago, Felix Samoa, is going to join him on the front row. Then we have Maurizio Naselli, the German, in the 44, starting in third. Next is Solal Shutwi in fourth. Rasmus Viori will start in fifth. Josh Arnold in sixth. James Matthew Sheldon, a standout star from the Formula V Weekend Warrior Series, will start this Spec Racer Ford race in seventh. Next is Trent Kramer in P8. Flavio Andala will start in ninth, with Dan Witzak rounding out your top 10.
Yep, Antonio Reese is our Masters pole sitter, starts in 11th. Jason Perry, our Spec 2 pole sitter, starting in 12th. Scott Russell in 13th. Claudio Gardini in 14th. Michael Odell in 15th. Tom Gradwell, P16. Kurt Nunez, P17. Andrew Love, P18. Jim Brewster in 19th. And Brad Cathcart rounds out your top 20.
And looking through the drivers outside the top 20, it starts with Joseph Tarantino in 21st, Adam Bradshaw in 22nd, Paolo Brema in 23rd, Paul Jackson in 24th. I think we got a short and pace lap. Let's burn through this. Josh Wilkie in 25th, Phil Berry in 26th, Matt Thompson in 27th, Aid Allen in P28, David Jarvis in 29th, Joshua Flores rounding out your top 30. Darren Kuhn is starting this race in 31st, Kane Halliburton in 32nd, Yanchi Lin in 33rd, Andre Favini in 34th, Russell Tucker in 35th, Daniel Case will start this race in P36. Rounding out your grid, we got through them in time before they headed their way off into the final corner. That's the final corner. That's turn 15, uphill to begin this race. The green flag is flying and the drivers are already on their way, but someone wrecked already. You can see that field is massively broken up. What in the world has happened thus far? Jason Green leading them, heading off into turn number 1. Maurizio Naselli going side by side with Solal Shutwi right behind. Felix Samoa's slot in P2, but it's been a rather hectic start, and it's not even a rather hectic start. It was a rather hectic formation lap. They wrecked before they even grabbed the green.
Yeah, absolutely. There's about a 3-second gap after P10 back to Kurt Nunez to P11. Oh, there's a spin on 31. Samoa's around.
Yeah, he tried to get that move done into turn
he
number
tried to make
5,
the move and just didn't work out for him. And we'll be back to the front here with Green, followed by Naselli, Al-Shootwi in third, Viori in fourth, and Josh Arnold in P5.
Yeah, not sure what caused that spin for Samoa, as we'll definitely have plenty of replays to take a look at in the not too far off future. We're going to keep on board and follow these drivers at the very beginning of this race, heading their way down into turn number 10 and 11 right now. Your current podium spots are made up of Jason Green, Nazelli, and Salah Shutwi. Very good start for Rasmus Fiore. He's making his way up the running order, and some drivers cutting their way through the field like a hot knife through butter, mainly Michael O'Dell and Kirk Nunez, both up 7 spots from where they started in this race. So lots of drivers getting off to flyers, others getting off to some stinkers, but coming out of turn number 14 at the very start of this race, Jason Green getting off to a flyer. He's very happy that Felix Samoa has had that spin hang off through turn number 5, because he's looking to redeem himself from last season, right the wrongs that were made, and grab that Spec 1 championship.
Yeah, it's put Samoa's back down to P13. He's right behind Jim Brewster, so he's got some work to do to get back up to the front. And I'm kind of watching the 2 cars in the back, Halliburton and Yangshi Lin, who obviously we've seen is a fantastic Spec Racer driver. They're both up 7 spots already, up to P25 and P26.
As we see Trent Kramer. Oh, no, Trenton spun it on the formation lap. Was there a crash? I think. Oh, okay. So clearly overcooking those tires right at the start. That's going to be embarrassing for Kramer in the number 20 car. And I think that may have been part of the reason why it was so broken up at the very beginning of this race. Because of that, he had to obviously everyone had to check up. Don't want to overtake on the formation lap and pick yourself up a penalty from iRacing. That's part of the reason why it's massively broken up. Phil Berry, one of only 2 retirements thus far in this race. We'll touch on that in a couple of moments. Meanwhile, though, at the front of the field, Jason Green and Maurizio Nazelli running P1 and P2. Got a top 5 pack at the moment, which is comprised of those 2, as I mentioned a couple of moments ago, along with Sola Shutwi. The debutant in this series, Rasmus Fiore, currently running in 4th. And there's a spin for Antonio Reese coming out turn number 3 at the very start of this race, taking a brief trip into the grass. Yeah,
just probably cold tires. Antonio usually very, very, very deft at handling this car, and looks like cold tires just caught him out just a bit there. Spun, did not make any contact, so he's back on the track. He's dropped down to P21.
And that is going to sting at the start of this race as Jason Green getting shuffled out. Got a move done on him, did Maurizio Nazelli. He's down the race lead. Jason Green, meanwhile, fighting with Sol Al-Shutwi to remain in 2nd. Rasmus Fiore trying to get a move done on Al-Shutwi as well. Sol Al-Shutwi is a driver that many people, including Jason Green himself, have talked about as being one of those drivers we need to keep tabs on, but he spins heading down into turn number 6. That's going to take him out of that battle for sure. I think Josh Arnold nearly ended up colliding with them. Jason maybe having to eat his words right as I was mentioning stuff that him and many other people, including myself, have said. Sola Shutwi, very fast driver in this series, but tends to have those little mistakes every now and then, and clearly that being proved with that run into 6.
Yeah, it's still a commentator curse, even if somebody else said it. You said it on the air, so it's absolutely your fault. We see Naselli and Green back up to the front. And yeah, it was just once again, I think he got on the curbs and just kind of looped the car around. It's just, still early in the race, and is riding on board here.
Ooh, looped it under power. I think he got messed up from the inside curb. I saw that car get jolted a little bit, then he gassed it and looped it around like a top.
Yeah. Once you get on those curbs, it takes a couple of seconds for the cars to settle, and if you give it the thunderfoot, then obviously you're going to end up probably spinning the car around. It happens a lot, so it's Al Shutwi's going to have some work to do now. He's dropped down to P8, so he's going to have a little work to do to get back up. He's only about 6 seconds off the lead, so it's not out of the woods yet. Ooh, as we see a little break in there. Ooh. Odell with the spin to avoid the contact with the car in front. And he's just getting passed by everybody. Unfortunately, a little contact there. And he popped the top. And so he's going to have to turn that around, backed off the track. And very unfortunate. Had one car come through and just clip him.
That was a rather odd series of events. That just looked like it just looked like some pure ice skating heading down into the corner. That I think is the only way that I can describe it. As we see a moment for Josh Wilkie avoiding that incident just barely. Don't tell me he had a moment of his own hang down into turn number 6. I think he had a moment of his own hang down into turn number 6. He did have a moment of his own hang down into turn number 6. That was a 92 car that he tried to go for the move on down the inside. That was David Jarvis, and clearly not working out too well. Turn 6 clearly not being a spot that he can go down the inside. We saw that from Al Shutwi a few moments ago. I think we're actually taking a look at the replay to see that moment from Al Shutwi. We just saw it from Wilkie a couple of moments ago. Turn 6 clearly being a trouble spot.
Yeah, looks that way. And it's, just actually, I think that was just a really inside line on entry and tried to just steer into the corner and keep the car tight to the inside and just too much steering input and loop the car around. These cars, these cars don't have analog brakes, so you can get a little steering lock as you would see in like an F1 broadcast, where if you're on the brakes and you start adding steering input into it, there'll be a point to where that inside tire just locks and loops the car around.
That's one thing to raise about these Spec Racer Fords. They have a rather big window in terms of driving around it and being good to go. But if you slightly overstep that mark a little bit, this car will put you on your butt rather quick. And I think we've seen that get put on full display thus far in this race. Even a mistake from Trent Kramer. I'm going to go back to that moment that he had on the formation lap. And Trent Kramer's not a newcomer to the Weekend Warriors. He's been around the block before. And to have a moment like that really shows you that the track, I don't know whether the track's just way too dirty for these drivers, whether we find ourselves with some adverse conditions. Taking a look at the weather, track temperature is currently at 78, so that's damn near perfect. So I think it may just be the dust and everything around this racetrack with the gravel traps and everything.
I will say the first one was probably just self-induced. The second one, where he got off into the gravel trap, was absolutely the new debris logic that iRacing's got put in place, and just there's no grip out there. So it's you have to give it power to get it out of the gravel trap. But then once the tires bite, then the next thing you know, you're around, as we see Al Shutwi coming out of the pits.
And there we go. That's not a scheduled stop from him at all. Well, probably intending to come into the pits, obviously, but I don't believe he'll be able to make it all the way to the checkered flag on fuel with such an early stop. Only 8.5 minutes, less than that, in fact, on the board thus far. So this is not going to be that's not going to be a good race for Al Shutwi in the slightest. He's going to be a driver we certainly need to keep tabs on all throughout this season, but one driver I'm keeping tabs on in this race in his series debut is Rasmus Fiori. We mentioned how high of an I rating he has, so obviously a very quick driver, but I rating doesn't mean a whole lot when it comes to these events. You could see someone with a slightly lower I rating kick someone's butt with a much higher I rating than themselves just because they're comfortable in these cars. You got to get into that good comfort zone, and clearly Rasmus Fiori finding that comfort zone rather early. That's going to be a driver I think we need to talk about.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, and you're correct. As I rating doesn't mean everything, but it does show you that the driver is able to adapt to different cars. Obviously, I think Fiori, obviously being 8K, very good driver. I'm watching Felix Moas. It's already back up to P6, so he's starting to close that gap down. He's 8 seconds off the lead. So you can see the pace he's got. He does have, he had the fastest lap of the race until the last lap. Jason Green has now got that at a 1:29.75. So Moas will be kind of working his way back up. And Al Shutwi, 8 minutes in, that's kind of close. I don't know that he's got enough, but maybe if he's running in the back with some traffic in front, he can do some lift and coast. Use the draft to help him out as far as keeping his lap times down, and we'll see if he can make a comeback and if he has to pit again.
Still a lot of this race left to go. Only a quarter of the way through, and we've seen a lot of drama ever since the drop of the green flag. Phil Berry is the only retirement thus far, and Daniel Case in the 209 car did not take to the grid to get this race underway. So despite the incidents we have seen thus far, not a lot of attrition. These drivers have not been hit by the falling anvil just yet. They have not been struck
Yeah.
by lightning. I think that's one thing about this circuit because of the massive gravel traps. It would have to be someone coming in for a glorified round of bowling to really take you out of it, because these drivers do have a faster pair, and with those expansive runoff areas, you're probably not going to find the tire barriers unless you really properly screw up.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's true. It's this track does have a lot of assistance to help keep you off the barrier out there with those big gravel traps. So I think it's a race that you won't see a lot of people getting major crashes unless they're making contact with other cars. As we see, a couple cars have already taken the pit stops. Perry and Cathcart are both in for their pits.
So now we're getting to the point where these drivers can come into the pits and make it all the way to the checkered flag, as Felix Samoa's nearly giving a check of the rear bumper to James Sheldon heading off through into turn number 6 a couple of moments ago. James Sheldon, very quick driver in the Formula Vs, and I think this may be his Spec Racer 4 debut, and he's now getting hell from the reigning champion. Contact being made. Look at that. Oh, no. That's messy. Heading through turn number 9, being and banging doors. I think both those drivers made that incident a bit worse than it really could have been. We may need to take a look at some replays of that, but that was just ugly.
Yeah, that was, and it was a pretty, I won't say it was a pretty risky move by Samoa to make that move to the inside there. Clobbers the curb on the inside. I think kind of pushes him out. He gives a little tap to Sheldon in the right rear. Sheldon does his best to just dirt track that car around the corner sideways. It allows Samoas to come up and make contact with the right front and actually straighten him up. But I think a little iRacing glue got mixed into that batter, and I think that was what made that uglier than it needed to be.
Yeah, that was just messy no matter how you slice it. Heading off through the mid-sector of this racetrack. That turn 8 and 9 point of the track. It's very inviting to go for a move, but it usually doesn't work too well. I think the first ever, or one of the first ever Formula Ford broadcasts here on SMB was at this track, and I believe the clip has been shown quite a lot in the old intro videos here on these broadcasts of someone getting popped into low Earth orbitals. It was a gutsy move at best from Samoa's, and an ill-advised one at worst. And then Sheldon getting popped. He kind of slid into the side of Samoa's, and Sheldon clearly not very happy, as he definitely was rather aggressive in terms of getting that space back from Scott Russell, heading down into 10 and 11. That was just an ugly incident. Look, they're back again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that generally tends to happen. And I think if you were to ask Sheldon, after the race, he'll probably say, "Yeah, Felix was probably faster than me." But once again, I think that was probably not the move you could have made. I know obviously Felix is trying to get back up to the front as quick as he can. That looks like a better move there coming out of that final corner down the front straight, but obviously can't carry enough speed to make the move happen. So he's got to circle back and reset there and try another position. And we'll see if he can actually get that move done, if he's going to be stuck back there for a while. And it may be worth we get a little information that he got the slowdown there. That may have been why he did not make that pass on the front straight. But maybe this is the time you would pit early. I don't know if Felix is thinking about that, but maybe a little undercut action. You can get in some clear air and make some quick laps.
As we're going to take a look and see a moment involving Scott Russell in the number 22 car. This may have been his perspective in some drama a few moments ago. That's a spin. I believe that may have been on the inside of turn number 5, unless I'm very much mistaken. I feel like this track is kind of like Groundhog Day. It just feels like the track keeps repeating itself. But I believe I am correct in saying that was on the inside of turn number 5. It's still a spin regardless. Yeah, it's still a spin regardless. It looks like he got hooked on the inside curb there and just helped him around. As we're back up to the front, Naselli still leads only 0.7 of a second back to Jason Green, and Viore a half second behind him. So still battle to be played there. Still a lot of battles left to be decided. We haven't even hit the halfway mark in this race. 15 minutes on the board thus far. We got some bump drafting going on involving Felix Samoas and James Sheldon. Oh, that's not going to work. Felix, what are you doing, man? That is, oh, God, that is a stupid spot to try and go for an overtake. And they nearly come to blows again, hang off into turn number 3. Felix Samoas and James Sheldon, both great drivers, but I don't know. They kind of have their heads up where the sun don't shine with the moves they're pulling off on each other.
Yeah, I think the red mist is starting to descent into some of these drivers. As Sheldon just took the inside line. He said, "I'm just going to go defensive down the front straight." Samoa said, "You know what? If you're going to go down the inside line, I'm just going to bump draft you, and then I'm going to try and make a move around." And he was fighting it hard, and it was. Then once Felix got back, Sheldon tried to retake the position, and you can kind of see the beating and banging got a little worse progressively. I think now that there's a Trent and Kramer between them, that maybe they'll cool off a little bit and will continue to race.
I mean, these drivers, I got to say, I love these drivers. They put on some great racing week in and week out, as we nearly see some bump drafting involving Kurt Nunes and Kane Halliburton. Kane Halliburton's been on charge thus far in this race, but I'll raise that in a couple of moments. I love these drivers. They put on some fantastic racing, but sometimes I swear they have the self-preservation skills of a short-sighted raccoon in the gardening section of a Home Depot as side-by-side racing down the start-finish straightaway involving Kane Halliburton and Kurt Nunes. This has been a great start for Halliburton, up 23 spots from where he started in this race. Well, it's 22. Now it's 23 with that move on Kurt Nunes to slip his way up to 9th.
Yeah, Halliburton has just cut his way through the field. And Nunes, up 7 positions, running P10, leading the Masters class, having himself a great day. But Halliburton up 23. Yangshi Linz is kind of got stuck somewhere. He's only up 18, running P15. So both those drivers, obviously, you can see how well they're driving. Oh, we got a Kramer in a tow. I'm gonna say that was that might have been caused by the either the driver in front or the driver behind. And we'll see what happens there.
Here's Mr. Wilkie. Oh, I think Josh may have gotten mildly lost there. That or he had target fixation with the barrier. Either way, though, I think he picked up a penalty in the process of that. So I think Josh has decided to call it a day. So we may have to have a chat with him and ask him what in the blue hell happened there, as Trent Kramer has also left the session as well. This has been a race that's been catching out a lot of these drivers. We're seeing the red mist from some of them. And let's see how this worked out for Kramer.
Oh,
and
wow.
That's how it worked out for Kramer.
Well, just on his own, and his maybe, I don't know. It's like, maybe he just said, you know what, it's not worth it today. I'm just going to take the rest of the day off, and so jumps back to the pits and says, I'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, I can't necessarily blame him. This track has been one that it hasn't caught. It's caught out many drivers. It hasn't taken them out of the race. I feel like the red mist has been catching out these drivers more than anything else. Lots of drivers not very happy, understandably frustrated. That side-by-side racing with Felix Samoas and James Sheldon, I was like, okay. As soon as I saw them going side-by-side to turn number 1, I was like, okay, time to commentate a crash. But, I mean, they got through. I don't think they're very happy with each other, if I'm being completely honest, which, considering they also race together in the Formula Vs, that's going to be... Woo! The only way I can describe it.
Yeah. So to update, Samoas has come into the pits and taken his pit stop. So he's going to work his way back through. He's got a 5-second gap up to Flores, running in 17th. So he's got a little bit of clean track to work with, and maybe he can solidify that undercut and keep in front of Sheldon, as Sheldon is still out on the track running in. Well, there we go, P6. So had to find him there for a minute, as we're on board here with Adam Bradshaw, battling with Abe Allen and Jason Perry and Dan Witzak. And so they're having themselves a little bit of fun back there running together. We see that I believe that is that Bradshaw? Yeah, Bradshaw with missing front. So he's got the air conditioning working for him today. I don't think it's really necessary. It's not that hot of a day today here in Lebanon, but that is the configuration he's currently running. I'm sure he'll take his fast repair when he comes into the pits.
And these drivers now over the halfway mark in this race. For some of them, it's probably felt like it's gone by in the blink of an eye. For others, it's probably felt like this race has dragged on for the past 50,000 years. Some side-by-side racing involving Yanchi Lin, Jim Brewster, and Antonio Race heading down into the corner. Oh, boy, that's not okay. I'm not really sure what to say when it comes to see some of these drivers and the moves they're attempting. Yanchi Lin trying to get a move done on Jim Brewster coming out of turn number 6. That was not going to work, and understandably backing out of it. Still finds himself in P11 at the present moment. Will note Maurizio Nazelli still leading this race overall. Kurt Nunez is your leader in the Masters category in Spec 2, currently being led by Andrew Love, as side-by-side racing was briefly flaring up involving Yanchi Lin and Antonio Race. The 3 drivers we've got on screen right now, some of the most experienced in the history of the Weekend Warriors.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I can't let our, with Jim on the screen, I can't help but say hello to Tam, because I'm sure she's watching it even without having to pull up the broadcast on my computer. I'm sure she's out there watching the race. So hello, Tam. As we're watching Jim giving a battle to Yanchi Lin. Yanchi, obviously so quick in the Spec Racer. Multiple time SCCA runoff winner in our racing is contact with Jim. No. Oh, good. Stop the car. That was Antonio Reese trying to follow Yanchi down inside. Made contact with Jim. Jim able to safely get the car caught up, and there's my commentator curse for the race. Sorry, Jim.
Hey, it won't be a Weekend Warriors broadcast without some commentator-issued falling anvils coming down, and let's see. Oh, got the tap from Antonio Race and avoided the barrier. There we go. The gravel trap doing wonders.
That's it. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, you could just see Antonio cut that inside and jump the curb, caused a little bit of contact there. Obviously unintentional, but still Jim takes the brunt of that. As we're back on board here with Kurt Nunez, leading the Masters class. Got Scott Russell right behind him, who was up in that battle with in around I have just lost my mind. The battle with
I did that 22 years ago, Charles.
Yeah. So anyway, he's still hanging on there, running P8 as we're back up to the front of the field. I'll let you have this back again. Let me reset.
That's quite all right. I feel like in about 5 minutes time, I'm probably going to start speaking in tongues. Jason Green running in P2 at the moment. Rasmus Viori slotted in 3rd. And we'll note that gap is seesawing back and forth between growing and shrinking with Maurizio Nazelli and Jason Green. Just going through in terms of the lap times that these drivers have set, it has been rather evenly matched between these two. Their best lap of the race was separated by about 100th of a second, according to our iRacing, according to my live timing screen, albeit that only goes down to the 100th. So that's a moment for Solal Shutway at the bottom end of the circuit, all through turn 14, lost it in the downhill braking zone and ends up in the gravel trap. So having to loop it back around, not a whole lot of terrible harm done there, but he is still dropping back. He's coming to the pits for the 2nd time in this race. So I'm coming to the pits about 8 minutes in. However, not enough to make it all the way to the checkered flag. But to wrap up the point I was going to raise, in terms of the drivers at the front and the pace that they are setting, Jason Green and Nazelli at a 10th of a second between them last time by, in terms of pace, that is. Let's see how it is at the end of this lap. Nazelli crossing the line to, let's see what time that he set there. My live timing screen will update 5 years later. There we go. Around about the same time that he had set the lap prior, and talk about it evenly matched pace-wise, 1,000th being the difference between Nazelli and Green. Holy cow.
Yeah, that's pretty close. Yeah, they're having themselves quite a battle up there, and it's it's just Jason Green just keeping time with Nazelli. We talked about Jason, and I don't think anything's changed since the last time I've called one of these races, but very good on his fuel mileage. So always good about getting the most out of his car, as well as having very, very quick pit stops. So that might be what puts him up in the lead when they get ready to have their stop. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as we're on board here with Yanchi Lin. Has moved his way up to 7th. So he's managed to catch back up to Kane Halliburton, who's running in P6. The gap is a pretty serious gap of 10 seconds. So it's not like they're very close together on track, but they are running in P6 and P7, both up 26 positions since the start of the race.
And I gotta say, this Broadcast going rather well up to this point. I was taking a brief look at my my social pages a few moments ago and saw a tweet from the IndyCar on Fox Twitter account or X account, whatever it's called nowadays. That James Matthew Sheldon had a spin coming out of turn number 6 not terribly long ago. Gets a loop back around in the right direction, but dropping outside of the top 20. We're going to take a look at a replay to see what may have gone on with him. He may have had multiple moments as this is heading down into triple gauche of turn number 1, 2, and 3. And, oh, wow, that's a rather bizarre collision. Two cars merging into each other. So I guess I was wrong. It is actually turn number 3 that he spun on the exit of. Either way, though, a spin regardless.
It was a spin regardless. And it was, it was just, he was looking for a hole that wasn't there and just made contact with the car in front and caused himself to spin. And that's going to make a bad day a little bit worse as he's dropped some more time to the leaders. Was keeping track with Felix Samoas, who is running in P13. He's managed to get that gap up as we see Andalo coming into the pits. That's going to allow Samoas to get past Brewster as well. So he's now up to P11, but he's running times there when he was in clean air that were matching the leader's pace. So he's doing his best to try and maximize that undercut to his advantage.
And the joke that I was going to raise a couple of moments ago as we still continue on with this race was browsing through X and noted that the IndyCar on Fox Twitter account said that their production truck currently has an electrical issue, so I guess their broadcast went completely out. So very lucky that we're not having the same problem here on slow motion broadcasting, and very lucky that despite the squirrels around the city of Philadelphia not being the brightest bulbs on the block, if I'm being completely honest, that none of them have decided that their perfect Sunday afternoon lunch would be chewing on a power.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're on board here with Michael Odell, little iffy coming out of that corner a couple corners ago. So we're still on board. He's just, he just got all kind of screwed up. He's out of rhythm and had to lock the tires up and take it off into the gravel trap. Just you can see that there's a couple of sections on this track where the rhythm is very important as far as your braking and cornering, and once you get behind, it's hard to recover that without either a spin or a lockup or an off track.
And as this race continues to develop, we're quickly approaching the point where the drivers who have yet to come into the pits obviously have to do it between now and the checkered flag. Is David Jarvis making that late call to pit. Second tries a charm with that. Multiple drivers still yet to pit, including the entirety of the top 10. That starts with Paolo Brema, runs all the way through to this man, Maurizio Nazelli, leading this race at the moment in the number 44 machine. We'll note in the midst of all of that, we've got a tie for the Hard Charger Award between Kane Halliburton and Yanchi Lin, as Nazelli going to make that call to come into the pits, and he will be joined by Rasmus Fiore.
Yep, they're into the pits. That leaves Jason Green to take the lead of the race. So he's going to continue on. Generally, Jason can go an extra lap or two more than most people on the track. So we'll see if he can just keep his lap times. You know, now that you don't have somebody to chase, sometimes you kind of lose that rhythm. And you kind of let up a little bit. So he's got to keep that lap time up near the sharp end of the grid in that 130 flat range. As long as he can do that, he'll have a really good chance of coming out and challenging for that win, because he's going to have a shorter pit stop, obviously, than the cars that came in this lap.
Still waiting for the likes of Jason Green and others to make that call to come down into pit lane. Kane Halliburton and Yanchi Lin now find themselves up 29 spots from where they started in this race. Kane Halliburton, a driver I have experience commentating on, strangely enough, outside of the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors. See him from time to time, but by and large, he is an incredible competitor. Experience commentating on races with him in the Radical SR10s, but he is very fast driver. I've been getting recommended many videos of lap guides that he does of certain racetracks, and his hot laps are part of the reason why on my personal iRacing channel I call my hot lap series lukewarm laps.
Mine would just be stone cold laps. As we see Jason Green now in the pits. Should see if he's coming in now. Let's see, did we have somebody pass him? I thought that was a 13 car, but I think that may be a lap down. Yep, it was Andalo. So, Josh Arnold in, Kane Halliburton in, Yangshi Lin, I believe, is coming in as well. Or no, he stayed out. So he's going to inherit the lead temporarily unless he comes in now, and he does. Yeah, it's the last of the pitters. This was the end of it. As we see Scott Russell now going by. Is he going to take the lead? Or is Green going to be able to get out in front of him? Nope, Green's going to get out, and he's actually going to be behind Naselli still, even after the extra lap of racing on light fuel and a shorter pit stop. He's still going to come out in second place.
Oh, so that is not going to work out too terribly well for Jason Green. No harm, no foul done as a result of that. And I gotta say, I think that gap is by and large decreased between the two of them. And plus, with the lap down, well, actually, not a lap down car, out of sequence car of Scott Russell. He's yet to come into pit lane, so this is a battle for position. Naselli getting that move done to slip his way up into the race lead. However, in all of that, it did allow Jason Green and Rasmus Fiori to still be within striking distance of the German behind the wheel of the number 44 car. Now that they've dispatched of Russell in the 22, will we see Jason Green and Rasmus Fiori stay within striking distance, or is Naselli going to take this opportunity, grab that torch, and run off into the sunset?
Well, I think they're in a good spot. They're only a half second separated between Naselli and Green, 0.3 between Green and Fiori. Obviously, these cars, there's enough straightaways here that they can get a little bit of a draft off of the car in front. So I think that's going to keep them in eyesight of distance of Naselli. They can run in basically similar paces before the pit stop. I will say that Naselli was I won't say the fastest, but he was the longest stopped, but was 0.2 faster than Green on the overall cone-to-cone time. So obviously maximized his pit entry and pit exit.
Still got a decent chunk of this race left to go. Not a whole lot of time, though, in the grand scheme of things. We have 32.5 minutes on the clock of this 40-minute long race. And for Jason Green and Rasmus Fiori, you got to wonder what they're having up their sleeve. What are they planning in terms of getting a move done on Moritz and Naselli? What is their strategy going to be? Will they decide to risk it and go for the move? Or they're maybe just going to take a good points day out of all of this, not risk it, and just decide to be there at the end of this race. I mean, we saw it all throughout season 1 of 2025. That consistency was key, despite not having the most amount of wins. Felix Samoa's and his brilliant consistency all throughout that season got him the championship at the end of it all. So it may not be a matter of going for all out glory. It may just be a matter of playing the points game, even though we haven't even seen the first checkered flag of this season. These drivers may already start thinking about that.
Yeah, I'm thinking if I'm Fiori, I'd probably, since I'm only about 2.5 to 0.3 back of Green, I'd use that draft to my advantage, especially on that long front straight, and do some bump drafting with Green to try and push him up a little bit closer to Naselli, because then you can make that move and you can work your way into a win as opposed to a P2. That would be my strategy. I think Green is just like, let me see if I can just hang on to him. Because obviously Naselli's very, very quick in the car. So Green is going to look for a way to try and get by, but it's going to be difficult, obviously. There's three very fast drivers up there.
As this race continues to develop, Kane Halliburton clearly having the same pace that he's done ever since the drop of the green flag just at the 5th lap of the race last time by. So we take a look at a moment involving a driver coming out of pit lane. That, I believe, is David Jarvis in the number 92. Coming out along with the drivers in the lead. You can see Rasmus Fiori and Jason Green right in front. And running into the runoff area, I wonder if he didn't put enough fuel in that car. Or a penalty, possibly.
It may be. I don't think it was a penalty. I think if it was a DQ, obviously he just gets pulled from the server. But it might have been, one of those that I've got to have a drop through. That's just kind of ruined my race, and I'm just going to pull over and park it. I can't see if was that his first stop. Well, that was his second stop, so I'm assuming that he had at least enough fuel to get at least closer to the end of the race than they already had, as we see Nunez making his way around the car of, I believe, Tom Gradwell, taking the lead in Masters over Gradwell. So that is a swap for the Masters class lead, and you see Gradwell get a little squirrely there on the brakes.
And that's a battle for the lead in that category. Kurt Nunez holding on to that lead in the Masters class. As a result, your current race leader in the Spec 2 category is Jason Perry in the number 97 machine. Maurizio Nazelli still leading this race overall, dispatching of a bit of lap traffic coming down into turn number 5 right about now. Nazelli still in the lead in front of Jason Green in P2. Rasmus Fiori dropping back a teeny tiny bit, finds himself in third, which either way, you're going to hold on to that spot. That would be a brilliant series debut for the driver of the number 24 machine. But at the north end of the field, Nazelli and Green, this is going to be a heads-up fight between some of the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors' best drivers. Jason Green, the multi-time reigning official champion for the Spec Racer Ford SCCA Challenge Series on iRacing. And then you got Nazelli, who's stupidly quick in the series as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a great battle up front. Obviously, it doesn't look like they're not really doing any kind of lunges for position or anything like that. They're just running their race, trying to maximize their lap times, and they're in the 29s. Halliburton's lap was just insane earlier, 29.3. It's just crazy. But these guys up front are just they're just clicking off the laps, getting down to that last couple, as we're probably 2 laps out, I think, from the end of the race, maybe 3. So it'll be time to put up or shut up here very, very shortly.
Putting up and shutting up will be what these drivers have to do. And I gotta say, Felix Samoas has put on a pretty rousing recovery drive, finds himself in P6 at the present moment. Not going to contend for race wins. I'm not sure if, well, not going to contend for the race win, I should say. Saying he's not going to contend for race wins is rather stupid to say about the reigning champion in this series. He's definitely going to be bouncing back come time for some of the later rounds in this season. This is going to be an oddity, I have a feeling. This track, not a lot of flat out blasts, and in these draft-heavy Spec Racer Fords, that's going to create a rather different style of racing, which has certainly been what the doctor ordered all throughout today. Side-by-side racing going on involving Josh Arnold and Kane Halliburton, those two drivers battling for 4th and 5th. Felix Samoa is maybe going to use that opportunity to reel those drivers in, even with some lap traffic between him and those two. Halliburton eventually got that move done to slip his way up into P4. Arnold in the 36 car dropping back. Kane Halliburton still the hard charger in this race by a pretty significant margin. With that move done, he's now up 28 spots from where he started in this race. Bravo, Halliburton.
Yeah, absolutely. Great drive by Kane from the back up to P4. Unfortunately, though, I think that is a gap too far to bridge with 2 minutes left in the race here. I think he's going to finish P4 unless something weird happens. As we see, battle for the lead here with Green on the outside going into turn 1.
And here we go, heading down through the first series of corners. Nazelli going to withstand that challenge for now, but Jason Green quick. Last time by about 0.3 of a second quicker than Nazelli. But, oh, look at that. Rasmus Fiori, he's now getting involved in that battle as well. He nearly tried to pull off a bump and run on Jason Green coming out of turn number 3. Tries to get that move done in through 4, still side by side on corner exits. Don't have a good feeling about this. We've seen a lot of drivers loop it on the inside of turn number 6. Will we have another case of that? Looks like Jason Green actually going to have that grip and have the momentum on the inside. He clears him nearly. I'm not sure if he actually cleared him. Coming out of the corner, finally clears him in the downhill blast into turn number 8. But all of that, it allowed Maurizio Nazelli to squeak away a little bit. And considering these drivers are coming onto the white flag lap, that could do it.
Yeah, very, very possible that was the battle that was going to give Nazelli the win. Because obviously, once those cars go side by side, it's gives that car in front a chance to just kind of get a couple 3/10 as those cars are having to work their around the corners side by side with each other, but still got 1 lap left, so anything can happen.
Yeah, one more lap of racing action here at Lebanon. It's about to begin in a couple of moments' time, and Maurizio Nazelli finds it in the race lead with about a half a second the gap between himself and Jason Green. He's going to have to hope for 2 things. One, Nazelli has a slight trip up, and that Rasmus Fiori doesn't try and force this issue anymore in the number 24 machine. If Fiori tries to go for a move, you can pretty much pencil it in as Nazelli grabbing the checkered flag out. A little bit of lap traffic in front of him, though. I think there may have been a moment for Felix Samoa, as you can see a little bit of damage on the front end of that race car, looking crinkled up a teeny tiny bit. He finds himself in 5th, with Josh Arnold actually coming into the pit, so something must have happened to Arnold. Let's see, heading down into the bottom end of the circuit through turn 14 right about now, and here we go. Looks okay there. Oh,
Ooh,
on the road. I think Arnold may have ran out of gas.
yeah. I mean, I'm guessing that's what happened because the gap between those two cars closed up almost instantly. So either there was a hardware issue with Arnold, or he just the car coughed, and the close up by Samoa is obviously not really anything he could have done at that point. Ooh, inside.
Nazelli running wide through turn number 11 for the last time, dealing with that lap traffic. Jason Green nearly took advantage of that. They were side by side, but he just did not have the momentum. Coming at turn number 11, got one more shot to get it done into 14, but I think with a good exit for Nazelli and a bad one from Green, Nazelli going to avoid disaster. He nearly lost it, but he's still going to win it. Nazelli going to grab the checkered flag to kick off the Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warrior season in style as a photo finish between Jason Green and Rasmus Fiore. 2,000th of a second, the difference between those two drivers after 40 minutes of racing action. That's doing a little bit disservice as well. According to iRacing, it was only 1,000th between those two drivers. Holy cow. Nazelli grabs the win, but Green and Fiore stealing the show right behind.
Yeah, absolutely. Great ending to that race. A great run again by Halliburton running fourth. You see Yangshi Lin is going to end up in sixth. Felix Samoa manages to hang on to fifth place even with the damage to the front of the car. And I think Jason Perry may be out of fuel. Is he going to get enough to get that? Is he going to be able to hang on? Andrew Love's coming.
Oh no, Love got him. Andrew Love got him right at the line. The kick in the shins to go to Jason Perry. Loses out in the Spec 2 category in the dying breaths of this race. He finishes in lucky number P13. Love finishes one spot in front. And in all of that, it was a close finish for the Masters win between Kirk Nunez and Tom Gradwell. Nunez going to round at your top 10, the winner in the Masters class at the end of this race. That's going to be a stinger for sure for Jason Perry, and also for Josh Arnold, who we saw have that moment with Samoas coming out of turn 14. That's not gonna be very not gonna be met very well in the mind of him. Of course, nothing intentional from Felix Samoas. Obviously, there's nothing you could do about all that, but it's still going to sting for Josh Arnold, as I think he also had to tow back to the pits as a result of all that, because I'm not sure if he had enough gas. But here's Jason Green. He's stopped. I am absolutely petrified what these drivers have rolled up their sleeves draft-wise. Oh, boy.
Right, here we go.
Here we go. I think they're going to use some of the shortcuts around this track.
Oh, nope. That one's blocked. Can't use that one.
No, that's not going to work. I think Jason trying to think of his new strategy. Oh, what in the world are we seeing here? Jason Green pulling off the that's a Philadelphian three-point turn where he just back into a wall and slam into a wall to get spun around. Granted, he hit a wall that was probably built back in the 1600s, but still. Oh, okay. I didn't even know where they were at there on the racetrack. They're in the runoff area on the outside of turn number 5, and now the other side of the barrier on the start-finish straightaway. I didn't know what Jason Green was cooking up here, but he's found something. Gotta be maybe doing a lap on the infield version of this track. I'm not entirely sure what we're about to witness.
There's a little bumpy out there. I noticed that. There's a couple of invisible jumps that you're going to have to worry about. I think
they're going to be doing it on pit lane. Yeah, the thing with letting on is the pit lane is about as smooth as my commentary. It's incredibly bumpy, as we see that from Andrew Love hopping up and down. Holy cow, Easter's only a couple of weeks away, but Andrew Love clearly doing his best bunny impression heading through there. As let's see this perspective from Green. I am absolutely petrified as to what we're going to be seeing from him. You can see those step-ups between some of the pit stalls. One right there. Oh, crap. Oh, they nearly hit each other. They didn't, though. You can see the step. Oh, God, they're merging in with each other. That's the slowest jump in the world from Jason Green, but he managed to land it on all fours. Oh, that's a quick one from Al Shutway. Oh, tumbling.
That's that's very interesting attempt there. Yeah, you can see the step ups on the pit lane, and sure that doesn't make life easy for you. You don't want to run down the through some other car's pit box as you're working your way in. Otherwise, you're in serious trouble there. But these guys are going to find a place to ramp these cars in some form or fashion. Oh, that's the 250 car over on its lid. He's going to get a little bit of help. Nope. Looks like he's stuck there. Kurt Nunez just bounding his way through. Yeah, it's just, it's the end of the race, and this is what the Weekend Warriors does at the end of their races. They junk their cars and then get them ready for next week.
And they do have that 1 week break between now and the next round of this calendar at Magny Core. And hopefully all of you tuning into this broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting will be there to tune into that racing action. And usually at this point in the show, we would cut to some interviews. Well, I'm not seeing anyone up there in the interview waiting area. So I'll give them a little bit of time. And
yeah, I think they're still trying to break their cars.
Yeah, potentially. They're I think maybe my perspective's a little bit different. I can see Stephen Dale there on top of the castle. I'm not sure if that was the same shot. Beautiful stuff. I love awesome camera work, Guido. Usually we would do the other results after the interviews, but we'll give those drivers a little bit more time, and we'll touch on the results right about now at the end of this opening Spec Racer Ford race of this season. Maurizio Nazelli, to be a bit more precise, is going to grab the checkered flag to win it at the end. It was a photo finish between Rasmus Fiori and Jason Green. It's a little bit contradictory because according to our live timing screen, Jason Green ended up getting the advantage, but according to the iRacing results, which you can see right here, Fiori got the nod for second. So well done to Rasmus Fiori, finishing P2 in his series debut. I think I just broke something on my desk. I'm not entirely sure what that was. So we'll continue on as if nothing happened. Jason Green going to round out your overall podium in third. Kane Halliburton crosses the line in fourth, up 28 spots from where he started in this race. Kane, are you kidding me? Yanchi Lin going to finish right behind him. That was actually another photo finish between actually no, it was not a photo finish between himself and Felix Samoas. Samoas got whacked with a penalty at the end of it. I was going to say that according to the live timing screen, Samoas was classed in fifth, but Yanchi finishes in fifth. Samoas down in 14th. We'll raise that in a couple of moments. Dan Witzak crosses the line to be classed in P6. James Sheldon ends up on the recovery drive in 7th. Scott Russell finishes in P8. Kurt Nunez in 9th. And Tom Gradwell going to round out your top 10.
Yeah, in 11th, Andrew Love gets the Spec 2 win over Jason Perry, who ran out of fuel on the straightaway at the very end. Tough way to lose that class victory. Joseph Tarantino finishes 13th. Felix Samoas finishes 14th, and I think that is the 40-second penalty for black flag for drive-through on the last lap that you can't serve. So you just get hit with the time penalty at the end. Brad Cathcart finishes 15th. Paulo Brim finishes in 16th. Flavio Andalo in 17th. Adam Bradshaw, I believe, is in 18th. Andrea Favini in 19th. Sul Ashotwi finishes in 20th. We'll continue on. Aid Allen in 21st. Matt Thompson 22nd. Josh Arnold 23rd. Paul Jackson 24th. Joshua Flores in 25th. Michael Odell in 26th. Jim Brewster in 27th. We continue down the list. We've got Darren Kuhn in 28th. Russ Telker in 29th. David Jarvis in 30th. Antonio Reese finishes in 31st. Claudio Gardini in 32nd. Trenton Kramer in 33rd. Josh Wilkie 34th. Philip Berry in 35th. And Daniel Case did not take the start, will be classified in 36th.
And so those are your results. Nazelli, the winner overall, and the winner in the Spec 1 category. Andrew Love wins it in Spec 2 in a heartbreaking finish right at the end. Kurt Nunez is going to win it in the Masters category. And Jason Perry did not win it in Spec 2, but because he ran out of fuel, he will pick up the Thompson Trophy at the end of this race. But we got some time for some interviews. Got some drivers waiting up there in the booth. I think I'm going to have a quick little chat with Jason Green at the end of this race. Now, Jason, welcome into the booth. And congratulations on the podium. Our live timing says you finished in second. iRacing says you finished in third, but still a podium nevertheless. Talk us through that very exciting finish here at Let It On.
Oh man, yeah. Little disappointed in myself to make a mess of the last corner like that. But yeah, Rasmus was patient the whole race, and he managed to get past me right there at the line by 1,000th of a second. I'm looking at a screenshot of it now, and it's, yeah, you can't tell the difference pretty much. So well done to him. well done to Maurizio. He drove a perfect race, pretty much. I think he only made like 2 mistakes for all 27 laps. So yeah, it was had a bit of a chance due to the lap traffic kind of getting in the way a little bit. But Maurizio was able to get a better exit regardless. So well done to him.
I gotta say, overall, though, that finish right at the line, absolute insanity. I think it was the length of one singular ant being the difference between you and him. So that was a brilliant way to cap off this race at a rather odd track. We were talking all throughout this race how this track packs a punch with probably the most amount of elevation change and the least amount of distance. There's really nothing like letting on. So I'll ask you what your thoughts are about this track.
Oh, I absolutely love this track. It's great in pretty much every car I've driven it in. It's very, very difficult. Because most of the 2 uphill left-handers are completely blind, pretty much, without any brake markers, or there's one singular tree to use for the second one, and that's about it. You're still kind of just guessing where the apex is. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Not really a track where you wheel-to-wheel race as much, but unless you're in the V's, of course. But yeah, it's a very, very challenging test, and yeah. Maurizio was absolutely flying, and I was pushing as hard as I possibly could just to stay within his draft. So yeah, it was definitely not easy.
So rather valiant effort for you regardless, and gonna be staying in France for the next race of the season, Magny-Cours, in 1 week's time. Going to another tight and twisty and technical track, but with some more flat-out blasts that may create a bit of a draft fest. So what are your thoughts heading into the next round of the season?
Yeah, I absolutely love Magny-Cours as well. It is a lot of fun. I've mainly driven it in the F1 car. I think I have 1,000 laps around there in the F1 car, the W13. So it'll definitely be different in the SRF, but the I guess in all 3 leagues, I think we're there. So yeah, the technical sections will be a lot of fun, and there's plenty of huge straights there as well for drafting. So yeah, should be fun in all 3 cars.
And really looking forward to Magny-Cours and getting a chance to enjoy France for as long as we have. I guess we'll have a whole bunch of baguettes in the broadcast booth and in the interview waiting area as well. And gonna be spraying some nice champagne at the end of these races as well. But Jason, thank you for joining us in the commentary booth. Well done on the podium. And before we let you go and celebrate, is there anybody you want to give a thanks to or shout out?
Shout out to all of the slow motion racing drivers that did the Sebring 12 yesterday. We managed to get 2 teams to the line on our second try after having difficulties. So yeah, shout out to everybody who helped with that. It was just as challenging of a test as it was yesterday. So shout out to them.
And always nice to hear about the stuff going on there on SMR. I swear we need a slow motion racing YouTube channel. I may need to have a chat with some people behind the scenes to maybe pull some strings and make that happen. But Jason, thank you for joining us in the interview waiting area. Well done on the podium, and excited to see you back out on the track for the rest of the season, man. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks, y'all.
And that right there was Jason Green, your P3 finisher at the end of this race. And Charles, I'll let you have dibs on who you want to have a chat with next.
Let's get our Masters winner, Kurt Nunez, in here. We'll drag him down. Kurt, congratulations. Masters class victory and a top 10 overall. Pretty tough race out there. You managed to pick up 7 spots during the course of the race. Just talk about how you handled this track and what makes this such a challenge to drive.
Well, you just have to be so careful because for the off tracks where the car slides out or you take it too early, and I got up to 4 and I was starting to freak out. I got to slow down, and I just got patient. I went in the pit, came out, and Tom was in front of me. I didn't even know we were racing for Masters podium, and he made a mistake. The last turn going up the hill, and I got under him, and that was it. I lucked out.
I don't think luck's involved in it, but yeah, it was a good battle between you and Tom, and like I said, we're kind of keeping track of your guys' progress, and it was like I said, it was an interesting race. You had a little, I guess you did have a little bit of luck because Antonio kind of kind of got bit a little early, and that allowed you to kind of assume at least the front of the order for the Masters drivers. But yeah, this is my first experience with this track, but you can see that it's a bit of a challenge because there's really not a lot of camber out there to help you, with the exception I think 8 and 9, and it's just it's actually there's an anti-camber on a couple of corners, so it makes it a little bit of a challenge with this car that likes to kind of roll around the corners and makes throttle control quite a bit of a challenge for you, as well as the elevated braking zones.
Yeah, you have to be so patient on braking for the corners here. You have a tendency to want to overshoot it. You just got to be patient, and let the corner come to you.
Well, there you go. That sounds like a top tip that we'll need to keep track of going. So next week, Magny-Cours, another French track, quite a bit different than we're talking about here. Fairly flat, I think, if I remember correctly. So it's a different track with its own unique set of challenges.
Yeah, I haven't raced that track. I just bought it, did a couple laps on it. It'll be fun. It looks like a draft track.
There you go. No, we like to draft races. I do anyway. So,
Yeah,
I don't know about you guys, but I do.
Yeah, I do. It's like when it's wet, it gives you the underdogs an extra shot at it if you grab somebody's tail.
There you go. All right, Kurt, we'll let you go and celebrate your class victory, and let you give any thanks or shout outs before you go.
Thanks to everybody for a clean race today, and of course to you guys for broadcasting this. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks, Kurt. Congratulations, Kurt Nunez, our Masters class winner and P10 overall.
And there he was. That was Kurt Nunez. And we got some more drivers waiting up there in the interview waiting area. And I think I'm going to have a quick little chat with James Matthew Sheldon. And I'll save Yanchi Lin for you, Charles. And
all right,
let's get this up and rolling. And bring James Sheldon in for a quick little chat. James, we usually see you on track for the Formula Vs. So nice to see you on track for the Spec Racer Fords. It looked like a bare-knuckle fist fight at certain points in time between yourself and Felix Simoes. But talk us through that race. Oh, James, you got a copy?
Oh, sorry. I don't know what Guido said. I thought I had to shut up. Yeah, it was. I don't know. I mean, I think Felix was mad about something I did. I think I did like a really late defend. Yes, I know. I'm probably gonna get a warning for that. But then later on, he sent it up on the inside, and he, like you said, he hit the curb. And then I think there was a bit of netco involved where he bumped me and I had to slide, and I ended up pit maneuvering him while I was correcting. But luckily, he got like reverse pit maneuvered, so he didn't get spun, so he got lucky there. And then later on, he also, in turn 1, he sent up the inside of me as well and drove me wide. But I think at that point it didn't really make it. At that point I was just trying to let him go ahead, you know.
Yeah, it was definitely rather aggressive between you two at certain points in time. I think after that move hang down into turn number 1, I was like, dear God. But it's still exciting, I gotta say that as well. And it's been a pretty good weekend for you. Won in the Formula Vs and did pretty all right in this Spec Racer Ford race. So much like the FVs, we're gonna be heading to Magny-Cours in 1 week's time here for the Spec Racer Fords. Will we see you on track for that race? And if so, what are your thoughts heading into it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, because I need to buy the track, I may as well use it in another race, you know. But I don't know, because I need to practice a lot, because I've never driven it in the Spec Fords before, so don't know how the pace will be, but yeah, I'll do the race, yeah.
It'll be nice to see you out on track for that as well, and always good to have a chat with you at the end of these races. But James Matthew Sheldon, thank you for joining us in the commentary booth, and I will refrain from asking you the usual. Is there anyone you want to give a thanks to or shout out? Because I asked you that yesterday, and I will end this interview by saying have a good one, man, and look to see you out on track wherever it is in the not too far off future, man.
All right, thank you, Ron.
And that right there was James Matthew Sheldon. And Guido, is it okay if you can let me know real quick? Alrighty, so we have the time to have a chat with Mr. Yanchi Lin. And Charles, I will pass it on to you.
Let's bring Yangshi. Yangshi, I kind of mentioned it at the beginning of the race as it started. that I was going to kind of keep an eye on you and Kane, because they're both obviously very fast drivers starting in the back. And you didn't disappoint. I mean, it was Kane up 28 spots, you up 27 spots from the back to P6. So congratulations on a fantastic race. So talk about your run up through the field. And I'd noticed that you guys kind of got separated a bit there as when you were in the mid pack up toward the upper teens, and made it a little interesting, but you managed to work your way through.
I mean, I was just driving around. Kane actually had some practice in the practice session, so yeah, he kind of has to figure it out. So the story for today was that I went to a gun show, and then I had my lunch at Cracker Barrel, and then I came back, and there was 5 minutes left in qualifying. And then by the time I joined session, there was 0 minutes. I didn't turn a lap during the week. I didn't turn a lap before the session. It's like I was just wobble around in the back, and somehow I finished fifth in the end.
Well,
Because I think Felix got a post-race penalty for exceeding the limits.
That's correct. You did. That's right. You did finish fifth. So actually, you did tied Kane for the hard charger up 28 spots. But the last one was kind of a gimme. Yeah, but it was obviously I've talked with you before from way back when, and you're obviously very, very quick in this car. You're pretty prestigious when it comes to racing in the Spec racers and any of the SCCA cars. So I had no doubt that you were going to work your way up through unless something weird happened. So now I have to ask the question: what does Yangchi Lin have at Cracker Barrel for lunch?
I've never been at a Cracker Barrel before. That's the funniest part, I actually parked my car, then I went to the restaurant, and then they're selling furniture. I got really confused. So I went outside and I looked at the sign. It says Cracker Barrel. I was like, oh, all right, it must be in there then. But that's what happened. I had one of their new, Louisiana shrimp skillet. That's their new spring item.
Oh, that sounds that really sounds good.
Yeah, but they made it super salty. I had to drink a lot of water. It's like there's almost only salt in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But at least I had fried apples for side. That was crazy. I've never had fried apples before. That was wild.
So did you buy a rocking chair or a T-shirt on your way out, or just kind of skip that?
Now, by the time I finished eating, it was already 3:10. So I thought I kind of need to get back and to get a few laps. But I didn't get any lap in the end anyway.
All right, Yangchi, well, congratulations on a great run up through the field. And let you give any thanks or shout outs, and we'll let you go and enjoy the rest of your evening.
I actually want to apologize. I think I ran into David Jarvis, also ran into Jim Brewster. So it's my bad, still figuring it out. And then thank you for broadcasting, and thanks Stevie for organizing the league, and thanks to Mr. Bobby West for sponsoring the race today.
Absolutely. All right, Yangchi, thanks. Have a great night.
You as well.
And that right there was Yangchi Lin. Charles, that was one of the best interviews I've heard in quite some time, hearing about Yangchi Lin's first experience at a Cracker Barrel.
That's great.
Just seeing the rocking chairs have in front of. Well, I've been to a Cracker Barrel a handful of times, but I absolutely love it. I think the last time I went there, I had the fried catfish, which was rather tasty, I gotta say. But
I'm just gonna say, if I go to a Cracker Barrel, it doesn't matter what time of day it is, I'm having breakfast. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Fair enough. I also had the peach cobbler there one time, and I feel like if I start thinking about peach cobbler too much, I may start getting hungry on this broadcast. But Charles, speaking of Cracker Barrel stuff and tasty food, what a tasty day of racing action. Everything was on our plate, from strategy to exciting racing. Some drivers kind of having a lack of any sort of fear, but overall just an awesome day to get this season underway.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a great race. Obviously, this track is a toughie. It doesn't look that way, but obviously you could see some drivers that you don't normally see struggle really have issues with the track. So it was great day of racing. Good battle up at the front. At the end of the race, some great driving up through the field. Obviously, some incidents that and some hard feelings, but I think that gets all sorted out because these guys run week in and week out. You don't harbor hard feelings for long here because it all gets worked out. And yeah, but we need a jump here. We need to figure out where a good place to do a jump is. I don't think pit road is the right place for it.
Yeah, potentially. I think what we may need to do is just find like a slightly raised up curb, have these drivers go through there, and just send out an old 80s IMSA prototype car, just act as a ramp. That may be a pretty good idea,
Yeah.
but that gives you a reason to subscribe here to Slow Motion Broadcasting to see some aerial acrobatics with some Spec Racer Fords, some Formula Fords, and Formula Vs every single week from the Weekend Warriors season. We've got a brand new season underway. Now we've all had the first races. We still got an awesome schedule to look forward to. Magny-Cours is going to play host for all of the races this upcoming weekend for the Formula Vs, the Formula Fords, and the Spec Racer Fords as well. That gives you a good reason to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on any of the racing action. But as for this broadcast today for the season opening race for the Spec Racer Fords at Lebanon, I think that will just about do it. And so for myself, Ron Maunz, Charles Boshell joining me in the commentary booth, and Guido Marzucchi doing a wonderful job working all the cameras in the virtual production hauler, I say thank you also very much for watching this broadcast here on Slow Motion Broadcasting today, and we hope to see you all wherever it is in the not too distant future.